Hello and welcome to our first live at lunch session of 2021. We first started these sessions last year as part of Pension Awareness Week, and we were overwhelmed in a good way with how many of you wanted to join us. So we decided, well, if there's so many of you that want them, let's give you some more. So it's great to have you here. If you're a newcomer, a warm welcome to you. We hope you will value your time with us today. And if you've come back for some more, well, good for you. You obviously value your pension, and rightfully so, as it is your second biggest benefit after pay. Now, we do appreciate that giving up lunchtime's not easy. If you're anything like me and you've got a big salad just staring at you, waiting for 1:05, you know what I mean. So I really hope you're going to get something out of today and you'll feel that it's worthwhile spending your time with us. Today's subject will be pensions basics. So we're going to be talking about everything, the basics of pensions, about how you accrue it, what it means to you, what's included with it, and everything else in between as well. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. You may want to get yourself a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, a glass of water, or maybe a couple of chocolate biscuits. You might also want a pen and paper or digital device if you want to make some notes. There's three things that we'd like you to take away from today's session. Firstly, we'd like you to visit the scheme website, which is www.civilservicepensionscheme.org.uk. Secondly, we'd like you to register or use the portal if you haven't done so already. And finally, thirdly, we'd like you to use the retirement modeler. It's a really useful tool and it can help you look what your pension benefits could be worth when you come to retirement. Now, as I've already mentioned, your pension is one of your biggest benefits as part of your total reward package. It offers lots of different things, including death benefits, inflation-proof cover for as the years go by, so it makes sure that it's protected. It's very important that you think about your pension from when you start your career all the way up to the end. So each year that you go through it, it's important just to sort of give it a little bit of thought, especially if you want a comfortable life upon your retirement. Now, today, as this is Pension Basics, we're going to be watching a short video about pension basics, which will give you a bit of an overview to the subject itself. And then we'll be having a live Q&A with our subject matter experts. So don't worry, if you don't catch everything in this video, we will be putting it up on the scheme website shortly afterwards as well. And we're also recording today's session as well. So again, if you miss something, don't worry, we will be putting it online so you can catch it at your leisure at a later date.
As a member of the Civil Service Pension Scheme, there's a wealth of support available to help you take control of your pension planning. We keep it simple and jargon-free.
There are a total of 5 defined benefit schemes covered by the Civil Service Pension Scheme, plus one defined contribution scheme.
These are Classic, Classic Plus, Premium, Nuvos, Alpha. The defined contribution scheme is called Partnership. Alpha provides pension benefits each year calculated at 2.32% of your actual pensionable earnings. The balance of your pension is carried forward to the next scheme year. A cost of living adjustment is applied to your total pension at the start of each scheme year. It can be a positive or negative amount in Alpha. For example, for April 2018, the cost of living adjustment was plus 3%. You then go on to accrue a further 2.32% of your earnings each year, and these values are added together and move forward into the next year. Civil servants have one of the lowest member contribution rates in the whole public sector. Depending on your earnings, you will pay £0 to £23,000 at 4.6%, £23,001 to £56,000 at 5.45%, £56,001 to £150,000 at 7.35%, £150,001 and over at 8.05%.
Employer contributions are extremely generous and reflect the level of benefits which are part of the scheme. Depending on your earnings, your employer will pay
£0 to £23,000 at 26.6%, £23,001 to £45,500 at 27.1%, £45,501 to £77,000 at 27.9%, £77,001 and over at 30.3%. For private sector defined contribution schemes, from April 2019, that under auto-enrolment rules, the minimum contribution rate an employer has to pay increased to 3%, as long as the member pays 5%. As a member of the scheme, if due to ill health you're unable to continue working, you may be able to leave work on ill health retirement grounds. If you die in or out of service, your loved ones can be looked after. Death benefit lump sum. A lump sum of cash payable to an unlimited number of people or one organisation you have nominated. Pension payable for your spouse, civil partner, life partner as a proportion of your pension. Pension payable to any eligible children. You can choose to join the partnership scheme if you do not wish to be part of the main scheme. You can also choose not to contribute, and your employer will pay an age-related contribution of between 8% and 14.75% of your earnings. If you do choose to contribute, your employer will match them up to a further 3%. Partnership can also provide ill health and death benefits. If you're not sure which scheme you're in, your payslip will show the scheme you're in. It will also be shown on your annual benefit statement. There are lots of places to find more information about your pension, including pension portal, annual benefit statements, scheme website, pensionpower. Take time to register for the pension portal. It's the one-stop shop where you can find all your pension details. It's also your gateway to the pre-populated retirement modeler, helping you to model your future and being able to update your death benefit nominee immediately. To register on the portal, you will need to provide some personal information along with 2 codes. Registration code. This is an 8-figure alphanumeric code and can be found on your employer's intranet page or in your recent active member newsletter. Personal identification code. This is an 8-figure numerical code found on your latest annual benefit statement entitled RREF, also known as your member number. Why not watch our active member portal registration video for help on how to get on the portal and get started. Your annual benefit statement provides a snapshot of your pension benefits as at the 31st of March each year. Use your ABS as a reminder to check your financial position for retirement. Check over your ABS to make sure all information is correct. If you've registered for the portal, use the retirement modeler to estimate what your pension will be when you want to retire. Update an old death benefit nominee. The scheme website hosts all the information you will ever need on the pension scheme, including scheme guides, videos, portal access, plain English explanations, our at-a-glance guide, forms, access to webinars, scheme communications, information on the 2015 Remedy Programme. The website is regularly updated, so it's worth visiting often. Why not join one of our award-winning Pension Power sessions? They're only an hour long and will take you on a whistle-stop journey of pensions from start to finish. We deliver them by webinar every weekday and explain your pension benefits in great detail. You can book a place at any time by visiting the scheme website and searching for Pension Power. If in doubt, check the web www.civilservicepensionscheme.org.uk.
I hope that was useful for you. I think the best part of the video for me was the Pension Power section at the end. Do get yourself on a session if you can do. Like we said, they are free and they're available to you pretty much daily. So do have a look for them. So just before we go over to our panel of subject matter experts today, I just want to say again, don't forget to visit the scheme website. It really is one of the best places you can start to find information, hints, tips, all sorts of handy tricks as well if you're a pension newbie, even if you're an expert, it's a really good place for you to visit. So today's panel is made up of Andy Jones, who is an engagement officer with Cabinet Office. We've got Jess O'Hare, who is a scheme compliance officer within MyCSP, the scheme administrator. And we've got Rosie Jeeves, who is head of member services with MyCSP, the scheme administrator. You can submit questions, as I can see that they are flying in, absolutely flying in, and we'll try our best to get through them. I don't think we're going to get through all of these today, given the amount of you that are on this session today. There is an upvote way of doing things as well. So if you see that your question's already been asked, upvote that, because it's more likely we'll be able to get to that one rather than seeing the same question more than once. So we will kick off today. Our first question is, oh, that's a great question, this one. Andy, I'm going to come to you on this one. When will the retirement modeler include the McLeod judgment changes? Or rather, will it include any updates for McLeod?
It will do, just not yet. So first of all, hi everyone, I'm Andy Jones. I know Nigel just introduced me, but it will do, just not yet. The reason for that is several different reasons. Is one, the legislation to actually make the changes hasn't gone through legislation paths yet. That is tracking through, but as soon as we're able to, we will do. But the reason that we will do and we want to is we want you to effectively plan for your retirement. So we need to provide you with all the tools that you need to plan for retirement. It will be there. Just keep your eye on the website for when we go live. When it does go live with the changes, we will do a big promotional campaign around it to make people aware. And one of the great things with it, it'll be on the portal as is there now, so you actually don't have to input anything. That'll be the aim. But so yeah, keep your eye out for it, please. But it won't be, I hasten to add, just for expectations, it is unlikely to be there for the next round of annual benefit statements.
Brilliant, thanks Andy, that's really useful. Just to let you know as well, again, today is being recorded, so if you do miss something today, if you want to go back to it, you'll be able to find it on the scheme website within the next week to 2 weeks, so don't worry too much if you miss something. We'll also be doing some polls today as well, so we will be doing one very shortly. If you could answer those, that'd be really helpful to us as well, because it gives us a bit of insight as to sort of how you as members feel about different things. So I think we're going to have 3 today, so we'll do them at different stages throughout. So our next question, this is a good question. I have a classic pension and I wanted to know, when I start claiming it at 60, will it be based on my final salary at 60, or will it be my final salary when the classic pension finishes, as in 2022? It's a great question, Andy. I'm actually going to come back to you on that one.
Yeah, cool. So with that, then yes, it will be based on your final salary at or near age 60. For those individuals who were in one of the final salary schemes, so Classic Plus and Premium, they have what's called a final salary link, which means that whilst the service you accrue over time won't increase after you've gone into alpha, the pensionable pay, so any pay increases, so annual pay increases, promotions, things like that, will be taken into account and be based on your final salary at or close to your retirement age. So if you wanted to retire at 60, it'll be at age 60. If you wanted to retire at 55, it'll be whatever your pay is at age 55.
Brilliant. Thanks, Andy. Really appreciate that. Right, I'm going to leave you alone for a second now. Next question is a great one as well. I want to top up my pension as I used to work part-time bringing up my children. How do I go about it and how much can I put in? Rosie, I'm going to come to you on this one. I think that's a great question because a lot of people will probably be in that same situation.
Sure, thanks, Nigel. And as Nigel mentioned, my name's Rosie. I work for MyCSP as the pension administrator. So yeah, great question about topping up pension benefits. And there's a number of ways you as an active member can contribute towards topping up their pension. Things to look out for and things to go looking on the Civil Service Pensions website are topics such as added pension, and also additional voluntary contribution schemes, or AVCs as they get abbreviated to. So I'll start off with the added pension top-up. Now that's in schemes, that's something that the Civil Service Pension Scheme has a part of the pension arrangement. And it's a way that you as an individual can pay extra contributions to, as the name suggests, buy added extra pension. Different ways of doing this. You can either pay monthly contributions, so little bits out of salary each month, all the way up to your normal pension age. You normally sort of sign up to an agreement, and any projections that you get will be on the assumption that you'll continue paying these monthly contributions up to your scheme's normal pension age. Or you can, if you wish, pay one-off payments each year. And scheme year runs from the 1st of April through to the 31st of March. And like I've said, each year you could then choose to just make a one-off payment lump sum into the arrangement. To go and find more information about how much it will cost, what kind of cost it will be to you, or how much you can buy, I'd recommend that you go onto the Civil Service Pensions website. If you either go and look in, go in the member section, have a look under the guides, publications, and also the calculator section. And there's actually a calculator on there that you can input details in. You can look at in two different ways. One is how much have I got to spend versus how much do I want to buy. So you can look at it in two different ways, but fundamentally that calculator will give you an idea of how much it costs. Now, there are some timescales around this in regards to setting up these contracts if you are interested after going and finding more information. We always send out communications via your employer around about February each year as a bit of a prompt and reminder, because all new annual contracts need to be set up in the April payroll. So if you are thinking of doing this, you've got a little bit of time before things would then be set up ready for April next year. But like I've been saying, go and have a look at the website. There's a wealth of information on there, and it will give you sort of those prompts and timescales, what to expect if you do want to set that up. Going back to the original question as to ways in which I can top up my benefits, the other way, as I've mentioned, is additional voluntary contribution schemes, or AVCs. Now, these are slightly separate to the pension scheme. They are, if you will, self-funded, they're independent, and they are invested on the open market. But there are options where you can look at what we call civil service AVCs. And these are pension providers that have provided these top-up arrangements, if you will, on behalf of the civil service, where you can get, say, preferential rates, if you will. There's sort of all of information is available on the website that you can look at going on an AVC as opposed to added pension. But they're the two main ones that our members look at for topping up their benefits.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rosie. That's really helpful. Hopefully that's answered the question today. Jess, I'm going to come to you next. I've got a good question about that actually will cover quite a few people, I think. Is it worth me transferring my older pensions into my current civil service pension scheme?
Hi everyone. Yeah, as Nigel said, I'm Jessica. I am a scheme compliance officer with Civil Service Pensions with my CSP, the scheme administrator. Transferring in is a question that we get a lot. The first thing to note with transfers in is that there is a time limit that applies. You have 12 months from the date that you're eligible to join the scheme to transfer in. The transfer in process can take a bit of time due to the nature of it. So we do recommend that you get the process started as soon as possible if it's something that you're thinking about. So the first step would be to contact us. We'll send out a provisional transfer application form for you to fill in. We'll contact your older scheme, your earlier scheme, to get details of the benefits that you hold there. We'll provide a transfer quote, and that will give you all the information that you need to make the decision as to whether or not to go ahead. And then you just need to return the application form. There's plenty of information about transferring in and the deadlines that apply, what the process is on the Civil Service Pension Scheme website. That includes the What to Expect guide, which is a really handy tool, sort of gives you an idea of the timeframes of each stage of the process. So yeah, have a look at the information that's available to you, and if it's something that you want to think about doing, contact us as soon as you can and we'll get that started for you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jess. That's really helpful. Next question is a really generic one as well, and I think probably a few people will be asking this. Is there a contact number you can call to get advice and help? I'm going to go to Rosie on that.
Thanks, Nige. I knew you were going to come to me. I'm now frantically trying to find the exact number. Yes, there is. My CSP does have an inquiry centre that members can call. As you can imagine, through because of COVID and the pandemic, there has been reduced service with regards to the phone lines. And we have been trying to encourage our members through the email channel. Now, you would get a similar sort of response in regards to, you would still have the same members of the team responding to those queries. And we will always try and do what we call a received and done, or a first point of contact response, if you will, try and answer your queries as quickly as possible. But yeah, going back to the original question, yes, there is a phone line. If you can go onto the Civil Service Pensions website, and if you go onto the Contact Us, our inquiry centre phone number is there. And as I say, Andy's just popped it up for me. Thank you, Andy. The direct number is 0300 123 6666.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rosie. Yeah, I think, yeah, if you go onto the website, as I keep saying, it's the best place for you to start, and the Contact Us details are under there. So if you didn't get that number, do visit the scheme website. Right, I think I'm going to go to Andy with the next question. Andy, what are the benefits of partial retirement versus part-time? Is it simply early access to your lump sum?
It's not as simple as that. Partial retirement, for those who may not be aware, is a facility for members who have gone over their what's called their minimum scheme pension age to effectively ease people into retirement. So the minimum scheme pension age is for those who joined before the 6th of April 2006 and have a element of classic plus or premium. That element of pension is payable from age 50. Whereas for everyone else is age 55. And what this allows you to do is reduce your hours by and earnings by at least 20%. That will then allow you to do is bring your pension into payment, any proportion of your pension into payment as well, I hasten to add. What I would say is the main differences between partial retirement and part-time is partial retirement is a permanent solution. So when you partially retire, your pension is in payment, and you can't change that. Whereas part-time is obviously you can go back working full-time. So one of the big scenario I would use for this is, I know we're covering a session tomorrow about pensions in the pandemic. So for the last year, we've all had to think about different working patterns, fitting in caring responsibilities, homeschooling, things like that. So people may have gone part-time and had a temporary reduction in hours. So that is a short-term fix for a potential short-term problem. With partial retirement, this is geared towards people who may want to, when they're getting towards when they want to retire, is take a step back and have a greater work-life balance to actually, for want of a better phrase, dip the toe into retirement to see what it's like, get those activities running that they may want to do when they fully retired. So part-time is a very good thing to do, where you may not want to be working full-time because you may have caring responsibilities, or you may have a disability yourself, things like that. So you cannot work the full amount. Whereas with part-time, you're bringing in your pension into payment to make up some of the earnings that you may have used to or lost due to reducing your hours, things like that. So it's a bit of a short-term versus long-term solution, really.
Brilliant. Thanks, Andy. Right, so the results from the first poll are in, really good. So we asked you, how would you prefer to receive communications from us? 28% of you said physical, i.e. through the post, and 72% of you have said digitally, email, text message, social media, or website. That's really interesting, so thanks for that. We'll be doing another poll shortly, so do have a look for that when it pops up. Right, next question, I'm going to come to Jess. I am currently in the classic pension. Will I still be able to claim all benefits from the scheme when we transfer to the new scheme on the 1st of April 2022? I'm 61, so is it best to take my classic pension before the 1st of April 22?
Okay, so this is an interesting question. So yes, your classic benefits are safe. You've got that accrued service sitting there. I'm assuming you've moved into Alpha or are going to move into Alpha potentially. So your benefits will be worked out using that reckonable service and your pensionable earnings when you actually retire. So that service isn't going anywhere. It's there ready for you to take. And of course, you can claim that from your normal pension age, unless of course you want to retire early. And you can do that without touching your Alpha benefits if you want to. So you can claim your classic and leave your Alpha untouched. That includes under partial retirement. So yeah, there are plenty of options available to you. If you want more information, I know we keep saying this, but go to the website because there is so much there to help you with decisions about your retirement. There's the modeler that's available as well. That's on the pension portal, pre-populated. If you want to have a look at what benefits you might potentially be entitled to at retirement. So yeah, that would definitely be my recommendation for your first port of call.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jess. Yeah, we do keep harping on about the website. It is in a link just below, so if you do want to open the web page, you can do as well. Right. Hi, if I want to contribute to another pension as well, how does the DB pension affect my allowance? Andy, I'm going to come to you.
Thanks. I knew you'd come to me with a tax question. So what I think the members are referring to here is a thing called, well, it's called tax. There's two parts of tax that we need to be aware of with pensions. The first one being is what's called the annual allowance. What this refers to is the amount your pension can grow in one scheme year before additional tax is charged. This usually affects high earners, but if you won't class as a high earner, and it's anyone earning over £100,000 could be at risk of breaching the annual allowance, but also individuals who save into more than one pension or are doing added pension, things like that. So it's something to be aware of. The second one, so I'll just carry on with the annual allowance in a minute. If you do breach the annual allowance within the main scheme, we will contact you as a matter of duty to make you aware of what your pension input amounts are. If you are saving towards another pension outside of the civil service and you're worried that you may breach, you can request one from my CSP. Please give my CSP a bell on the number previously supplied, or drop them an email, and a pension savings statement will be issued to you. The second thing to think about is a thing called the Lifetime Allowance. And what this is, it looks at your overall value of your pension when you come to retire. And if it is over a certain amount, there could be additional tax charges applied. That is all carried out by my CSP, and you would be made aware of this when you come to retire. We do issue statements to individuals who are at risk of breaching the lifetime allowance. There are certain things that you can do to set up like certain protections in relation to lifetime allowance. What I would say, there are dedicated pages on both the annual allowance and the lifetime allowance on the scheme website, which provides information and also useful links through to necessary pages on the HMRC website to find out more information.
Brilliant. Thanks, Andy. Just a quick reminder that we are recording this session. So if you're having any issues with technology or whatnot, you can watch this back again. It won't be affected by that anyway. So if you have missed anything and you do want to go back to it, it will be available shortly on the scheme website, probably within the next 2 weeks by the time we've sort of had time to look at all the questions and stuff. Right. I know this question's already been asked, but I'm going to do it again just in case someone's missed it. And I'm going to come back to Jess again as she expertly answered it. Jess, how can you bring your previous pension from another provider into the civil service pension scheme?
Yeah, so again, you do have the option to transfer into the scheme. The time limit for that is 12 months from the date that you're eligible to join the scheme. In the first instance, you would need to contact us. We will send out a provisional transfer application form for you to complete. That gives us permission to go to your old scheme. We'll get the details of your benefits in that scheme, and we will send you a quote of the benefits that you could get in return in our scheme. As I was explaining before, there is some information on the website, including a what to expect guide, which goes over the timeframes. And I will highlight again that it is really important that you contact us as soon as possible, because the transfer process can take some time to complete, and you really want to make sure that you get in before that deadline if that's something that you're considering.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jess. Really helpful. Right, next question. I am going to come to Rosie on this one. If my screen will stop jumping around, that'd be really useful. Right. I'd like to know if I can forego all of my lump sum for an increase in pension. The retirement model does not seem to offer this scenario. And that's a great question, because I think some of you will probably be thinking about this, how you can sort of reduce and increase. Rosie.
Thanks, Nigel. Yeah, so in short, the answer is yes, you can, but just to put some detail behind that answer. So this is really only applicable to classic members of the pension scheme, where there is an automatic tax-free lump sum. With the other pension arrangements, there is no automatic tax lump sum to give up, and therefore you wouldn't be commuting or giving up that lump sum in the form to buy more pension. But going back for yourselves, if you are classic members, you can do what's called inverse commutation. I will repeat that. That's inverse commutation, and that is the act of giving up some or all of your automatic lump sum and converting it into more pension. Now, you can give up either all of your lump sum in return for annual pension, or you can give up some of the lump sum, and you give it up in denominations of £100, and for each £100 you give up, we will then convert that into an amount of annual pension. Now, the amount of annual pension that it will purchase, if you will, is relevant, or sorry, dependent, I should say, on various different factors. And a lot of those factors is looking at life expectancy, because pension is paid every single month, year for the rest of your life. And therefore, we have to bear that in mind as an ongoing income. Where do you get more information? Again, first port of call is definitely the website. If you were to search inverse commutation, there would be information on there and how to go about getting more information. But what I would say is contact my CSP by email, preferably, and it's at contactcentre@mycsp.co.uk. Asking for more information about inverse commutation, and we can then provide you with information relevant to you and your circumstances to give you a better idea about how much it would cost and whether you want to go ahead with that option at retirement. Thanks, Nigel.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rosie. Hopefully that's explained it for you. It's quite a complex subject, but hopefully that's helped. Right, next question is a great question. Although I'd like not to think that if you retire, you may pass away. But if I die after I retire, what % of my full pension will my husband get? Andy.
Thanks, Nigel. You give me the happy subjects. Tax and now death.
Two things that are certain in life.
So it depends on what scheme you're in. So those with a classic element to the scheme, they would get up to 50% of the pension that you receive. For all the other schemes, so Premium, Nuvos and Alpha, it works out around 37.5% of the pension that's in payment. If you die within service, so this is before you've retired, things like that, there would be a death lump sum to pay, and that is to an individual or individuals you nominate, as well as I mentioned, a pension payable for those in classic. That is only payable to a spouse or civil partner. Within the other schemes, it is payable to spouse, civil partner, or a life partner. It's just something to bear in mind, and they are often enhanced. And one other thing to remember is it's not just your partner or spouse or civil partner who receive payment. It is also any eligible children. That is usually children who are, I think it's up to the age of 23 and in full-time education, could be in receipt of a child's pension. It's just something to bear in mind.
Brilliant. Thanks, Andy. Right, next question. And this is a great question, actually, because we're obviously trying to encourage you to use it. So hopefully the answer to this will be positive for you. Rosie, how accurate is the retirement modeler?
Thanks, Nige. I suppose the simple answer is it's as good as the information that we hold on you as an individual member, but the actual calculations that the modeler uses are the exact same calculations that our system at MyCFP uses, which we use every day to calculate members' pensions. So it's been tested rigorously and using the exact same calculations. But I mentioned at the beginning, it's as good as the data that we hold on you. Not wanting to bore you with the details, but every single month, your employer sends us information through an electronic system, through payroll, if you will, that provides us with ongoing information about your pay and your service records. And that's been provided throughout your membership within the civil service pension scheme. Now, there are times that we do have to go back and check some of this information. And this is where I would sort of say to you as active members of the scheme, please do make sure that you're going on to your annual benefit statement, either at the time when we release them each year to you, or even by logging onto the portal. And you can go and view your annual benefit statement at any time on that portal as well. But go and check and have a look at your service record, the pay details, your pensionable earnings that we hold. And if you think that we sort of we have anything sort of incorrect, if you will, you can then contact my CSP and we can sort of look into that for you. But do bear in mind that especially around annual benefit statement time, if a lot of you do contact us around the same time, it may sort of take a while to get back, but we will look into it for you. We will then query that with your employer. But yeah, I was going to say, it's as good as the data that we hold, Nigel, I think, in short.
Fantastic. Thanks, Rosie. All right, the results from that poll that we just held are now in. The question we asked you was, will you register for the portal this year? 36% of you said yes, that's good. 2% of you said no, that's a shame. And 62% of you are already registered. Fantastic, I love you. My work here is done. Right, on to the next question. We will have another poll shortly as well, so do keep an eye out for that one. I am going to go to Jess this one. Jess, I am single. Can I nominate my sister or my mother as a beneficiary if I should die in service?
Okay, so with dependents pensions, not necessarily. They're payable to your spouse, civil partner or partner, depending on the scheme that you're in. We, of course, will also pay pensions to any eligible children. However, you may wish to consider nominating them for the death benefit lump sum. You can nominate any person or organisation. You can give it to the local donkey sanctuary if you wanted to. It's really up to you. In Classic, you can only make one nomination, and the other schemes you can make as many as you like. So yeah, go and have a look on the website again. The death benefit nomination form is on there, and you can now fill that in and send that to us electronically. So you don't even have to post it to us if you don't want to anymore. So yeah, that's available under the member form section. So go and have a look.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jess. It's also worth pointing out as well, if you're on the portal as well, you can also update your death benefit nomination on there as well. You can review, edit it as you want, as long as obviously it adds up to 100%, you can do it on there as well. So it's even easier for you. So those 2% who said you're not going to register for the portal, I hope that changes your mind. Right, time for the next question. We've got about 6 minutes left, so I think we've got time for about 2 or 3 more questions. Thank you for all of your questions, by the way. We will try and use all of these post-event on our FAQ sections within the website as well. So we'll do our very best, but we have got hundreds and hundreds. If I retire at, say, 63, will the classic pension still be calculated on my final salary when I retire, or my salary when I turned 60? Andy, can you help us with that?
Yeah, this harks back to the very first question. Yes, it would be. So for those who have a classic plus or premium element to their pension, it would be based on the final salary when you actually retire. So if you were retiring at 63, it would be based on your final pensionable pay at age 63. With the alpha benefits, so the way alpha works, it is a pension that's calculated each year, and we'll look at your earnings in between the 1st of April and the 31st of March, and that's what's used to calculate your pension every single year. But with the final salary, I can confirm that yes, it will be based on your final salary when you retire, not when you moved into alpha.
Thanks, Andy, really helpful. Jess, I am new to the civil service and over 50. Can you advise which pension is best given my age and how many working years I have left? Also, I have a private pension. Is it a good idea to transfer that in or leave it where it is? Now, I think we have to take that with a pinch of salt as well. We're not offering advice here to you, but we're going to try and help guide you.
So the scheme that you are placed in depends on your circumstances when you join the scheme. Most new joiners will go into Alpha, of course. So my recommendation would be is, again, go and have a look at the retirement modeler and see what the benefits are going to be illustrated for whatever retirement age you're thinking about retiring. In terms of whether or not it would be sufficient, what you really need to think about is what you want your retirement to look like. Maybe you want to think about topping up your pension benefits. As Rosie mentioned before, there are options for doing that. There's added pension, there's the CSAVC, the Civil Service Additional Voluntary Contribution Scheme. If you're really not too sure, my recommendation would be to get some independent financial advice. You can go on the Financial Conduct Authority website and there's information there on finding an independent financial advisor. But really the starting point is figuring out what your benefits are going to look like, and the retirement modeler is always the place that I would recommend that you start for illustrating what you could potentially get at retirement.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jess. Right, so we've done the final poll. Are you aware of your pension value as part of your total reward package? 24% of you said yes, and 76% of you said no. Well, that's interesting. If you are on the portal, you can have a look at your previous annual benefits statement. That should hopefully give you a bit of an indication of what it's worth. So it is worth going on to have a look at that. So I don't think we've got any more time for any more questions today. I just want to say thanks very much for those of you who have joined us today. I hope you have found it really, really useful today. We will be sending out a survey post-event today. It would be really, really helpful to us if you could fill that in. If your feedback's good, bad, or indifferent, it will help shape the way that we do things going forward for you. It will also help us understand what subjects you'd like to understand going forward. So if you'd like different subjects to the basics, if you'd like to have more specific ones, we obviously have got 2 more sessions later this week. And more importantly, whether you'd like me back as host, hopefully you do. Also that if you are sending anything into the scheme administrator, it's absolutely fine when you email him, but you do need to send 2 pieces of information in there to accompany it. So a full list of acceptable personal information is your full name, current address, previous address if it's different whilst in service. You need to include date of birth, member number if you have it, dates of employment, name of employer at the time of service, your address of the employing departments, which scheme you are contributing to or contributed to, and what date of the month you receive your pension. So you need to include something from those lists. And if you are a bit confused, please do contact the scheme administrator and they will be able to help you. And that's it from us today. All that remains for me is to say thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to our scheme of experts. Really appreciate your time that you've given up today. It's goodbye from them. It's goodbye from me. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.